Welcome back everyone to another segment on Ron-Rhum-Rum cation. So a lot of the rums that we've talked about have been mainly molasses based, some have been made from sugarcane honeys. Today we're going to travel to the French island of Martinique. Martinique is the only region able to bear the designation Appellation d'Origine Contrôlée de Martinique, which guarantees origin, followed by the term rum agricole, agricultural rum, and rums holding the AOC Martinique have to follow very strict standards of production. Let's start off first with what exactly is rum agricole. Rum agricole is a style of rum produced from freshly pressed sugarcane juice. It's produced in the French-speaking islands of the West Indies. This includes Martinique, Guadeloupe, Réunion. You've all probably heard the phrase from farm to table. Well, in this case, it's more grass to glass. Rum agricole is characterized by being very grassy, terroir driven, also like maybe some vegetal notes. You get a real taste of the land. Before I bring out the agricole that we're going to be tasting today, we need a solid foundation on what exactly are the rules to qualify for the AOC Martinique. The sugarcane had to have been grown to a single annual harvest. It has to be juiced within 36 hours of being cut. Now, freshly pressed sugarcane juice tends to ferment very rapidly, and you need to take control of that because there is bacteria in the juice that will eventually grow to high levels and cause your sugarcane juice to sour. And if it sours, now you're going to lose all that flavorful, fresh, grassy quality. The sugarcane ferment can only be distilled one time between 65 to 75% ABV, single column copper stills. So by using column stills, the distiller will have more control of the cuts. There's still going to be copper in the column still because during fermentation, yeast starts producing sulfur. When distillation takes place, the copper interacts with the sulfur to create copper sulfate, and it will remain in the still. That way the final spirit doesn't have a bitterness to it or a loss of smoothness. After distillation, the spirit is transferred to large vats to rest and mellow out for at least 3 months before bottling or aging. Leftover sugarcane fibers, known as bagasse, are dried and then fed to the furnace that will provide steam for the column still. And then any leftover bagasse after that will be used as compost. No additives can ever be added that will modify flavor, color, or aroma. There are a few categories for rum agricole of Martinique, so I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce the French terms, but I'll have them written right up here. First, we have white agricultural rum that is left to rest for 3 months, or if it's aged, it cannot exceed more than 3 months in a barrel, and it must be bottled at a minimum of 40% ABV. Next, we have golden agricultural rum, also known as amber agricultural rum, or right above here. It's stored for at least 12 months in wooden containers. This gives it that golden color and some of those woody notes. Next, we have old or aged agricultural rum. This category, the spirit must be aged in oak barrel for a minimum of 3 years to be able to have the label of VO, very old. To have the VSOP label, it must be aged a minimum of 4 years in barrel, and then to have the XO label, it must be aged a minimum of 6 years in barrel. Aged agricole rums are typically labeled like French brandies. According to the Ultimate Rum Guide, yes, Martinique is the only region that can have the AOC of Martinique. However, the term, specifically rum agricole, can be put on a label in a limited amount of quotas to the rum produced in Guadeloupe and Martinique. I know this might have been an information overload, but just hang in there with me. We're getting to the fun part, tasting. I'd like to present to you all Clement. I want to thank first Clement. Thank you so much for providing me with this bottle. This is the first monovarietal rum agricole produced. So the sugar cane used for this expression is cane Bleue. It's a really coveted sugarcane varietal. It's because it's super aromatic, very flavorful, has a high sugar content. It is distilled only once as per the requirements for Martinique AOC. After this expression has rested for just over 6 months in stainless steel vats, distilled volcanic spring water is slowly added to bring the ABV down to 50% before bottling. Now let's dive in and taste some rum agricole. Such beautiful labeling. Nose. Keep our mouth open. I definitely get that like light grassy freshness, super fresh. But I also get like kind of like powdered sugar. Has also some floral notes, pepperiness that like you have tingling on your palate. It has a really nice acidity, dry finish, and I also get minerality. There's like a stony quality to it, but super aromatic. I feel like this is really approachable. Let's add a few drops of water. Fresh quality to it. It reminds me of the ocean. I love that it highlights a single varietal. I can't wait to make a cocktail. Let's hop on over. For today, I'm going to do a very loose interpretation of a tea punch, which originated in Martinique, using only 3 ingredients: lime, sugar, and rum agricole. So there was no ice in this cocktail because back in the day there was no refrigeration. So we're not going to do any ice either today. So what you do first is you have to slice your lime. And make sure you get some of that pulp in there. You kind of just do just like a little bit. So it's not really a wedge. I'm gonna muddle. Normally you would put sugar in here, but I'll explain why I haven't added the sugar yet. I'm gonna do just 1 ounce of rum agricole. Instead of using sugar or sugar syrup, I have some fresh tepache that I made, also infused with some allspice and some dried roses. Do 1.5 ounces. It's been refrigerated super cold to make up a little bit for the lack of ice. Gonna give it a little stir. And now we have a little tea punch variation using rum Clement with a little bit of a spritz to it. So the tepache that I made really complements the floral notes in the Clement. There's a little bit of those lime oils. And I did make this tepache with cane sugar. And that little bit of spritz really plays well with the minerality from the Clement. Cheers!